Okay, let's start with a word of prayer. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, we thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to have this webinar. As we start, Lord, we just want you to take control of the meeting, help the people who are coming in to come on time, and let the wisdom that is coming from above through Mr. David Tanki, that he be able, oh God, to share wisdom and insights that are given unto him to the people, and let the people be change makers even after this webinar. We thank you and we bless you for this. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
First and foremost, my name is Andiwo Obondo, moderator for this session, and I will invite Irene Tindi to come in and share a little more about Sports Invest Africa, and then proceed to talk about the program, the kind of program that we have, before I invite David to come in.
Thank you, Mr. Andiwo. Mr. David Tanki, good evening. And good evening, our participants of this evening. Welcome to the live webinar. We are so happy that we've been able to put this webinar together, looking at the season that we are in, this COVID pandemic threw Africa into some disarray. People did not know what to do. So much stopped in terms of, it was not business as usual. Some businesses have really gone down. Some people had to work at home, the new normal. Some people have lost their jobs. Others have had a reduction in their income. So what a timely season it is for us to start discussing how do we move forward post COVID. But then again, Sports Invest Forum, we decided to be the conveners of this because our business is mainly to create champions. That's the business that we're in. We're creating champions of the field. And now that COVID happened and all the sports activities were stopped, we could not go ahead with these activities. So what happened was we decided that the best thing is to create the champions of mind. And through the African Change Makers Forum, we were able to come up with this program to give you a platform where we can dialogue, we can find solutions for Africa post-COVID, because truth be told, America is also struggling with the problems of unemployment. The European countries equally have their own share of problems. China also has its own share of problems. Where we turn towards Africa for help, who's going to help us right now? So it's that time that we as Africans find solutions to these problems. And this is where Sports Invest Africa is coming in to give you that platform to be champions of change. So what we do at Sports Invest Africa? At Sports Invest Africa, we inspire and spur development in the sporting sector. We have 6 pillars that we're doing this. One pillar is a pillar of good governance. We know that without good governance, then we are not going to go far. The sporting industry, the sporting sector is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But Africa, as we know it, is not even experiencing a quarter of that kind of arithmetic. So how can we, what can turn around to make it better, if not good governance? And the other pillar is the pillar for junior sports development. I've talked about us in the business of creating champions. And these are champions who are aged 4 to 14 years. And we want to prepare these champions for Olympics 2032 and World Cup 2030. And through the Future Stars Africa game, what you're calling FSAG, we are preparing these champions. We are giving them also the opportunity to have life skills. We are looking at gender mainstreaming. If you look at most of our federations, it's a male society. But we are saying that the women can also come up and support in the sporting sector instead of being at the back. We are also looking at sports research and development. But what we were going to be big at in this 2020 was a business of sports. But then COVID happened, and we said, okay, now what do we do? Do we close shop or do we do something different? And that's how now we are creating the champions of mind so that we can facilitate the business of sports once things normalize, if there'll be any normal. And I would love to leave a parting shot, a quote that inspires me so much. Why thinking of an individual to create change at this particular time? And that is a quote by Wangari, the late Wangari Maathai, our Nobel laureate. And what she said was that she gave a story of the hummingbird. A hummingbird is such a small bird, and there was a big, massive fire in the forest. The other big animals, like the elephant, they went and sat at the side and watched the fire just take on the big forest. And the hummingbird, as small as it is, with its beak, it went picking water and pouring it into this forest, picking little water, pouring it into this forest. And one of the things that the hummingbird, when they were looking bad at him, like, what are you doing, and scolding him, what the hummingbird said, I will do my best. And that's what we need to do. I am doing it with Sports Invest Africa in the sporting sector. You are here today. Which area are you doing it? Where are you doing your best so that we can change Africa to become a developed nation? This is our time. The reset button has been done. So this is our time as Africans to roll up our sleeves and work at making Africa a transformed Africa, a better Africa, a developed Africa. So let's enjoy what we have in store today on owning our financial destiny by David Tanki. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene. I think before I invite David, I wanted to just take you back a little bit. You mentioned.
Yes.
Is it possible you can just run through them again for the sake of our participants, the 6 pillars through which we seek to drive the change?
No, the 6 pillars are for the Sports Invest Africa. Our 6 pillars are good governance, yes, good governance, sports research and development, sports infrastructure, junior sports development, and the business of sports and gender mainstreaming. Those are the 6 pillars for Sports Invest Africa. But for the African Changemakers Forum, after the presentation of David Tanki, then I will take you through what our pillars are and what we intend to do. Maybe, Antiwo, you could just briefly go through the first webinar, what we had and what it was all about.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Irene. I think we did a webinar, is it, I think I'm losing the dates, is it 3 weeks ago now?
Yes.
Yes, and we had hoped to even listen to what we have said to do today, but I think because of technical challenges, we were not able to. We had 2 speakers that were successful. That day, actually 3 speakers. Irene was one of them, and we had Njeri Kapeberi, and also we had Dr. Irene, I'm forgetting the
Dr. Wale Akinyemi.
Dr. Wale Akinyemi. Yeah. So we had a good debate, but we were not able to listen to Tanki, and that is why we decided to create time for him exclusively today. And what we'll do is towards the end, we are going to, as we summarize the issues that will come from his presentation, we'll also give highlights, key highlights of some of the issues that were raised by Njeri then and raised by Irene during the last webinar, plus the ones that were raised by Dr. Kinyemi. I think for now, it would be fair to invite David to spend the next 20 or 30 minutes just running us through the key issues around financing. David.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Buanandiwo, and thanks Irene also for introduction of Sports Invest. Very privileged, very thrilled to be here today to discuss this very exciting topic of owning your financial destiny. And it is very exciting because we are focusing on Africa, and this is Africans for Africa. And I'm very thrilled that I have this opportunity to share with us just a few things of what is in my heart over these very many years that may be able to help us in terms of ways and means with which we can be able to own our destiny. I think it is very important to make a few observations even as I prepare to do a presentation, that in the last couple of months, we saw Americans going on rampage because of the death of a man by the name of George Floyd, this African guy who was killed by whites, and Africans all over the place, or Black Americans all over the place, demonstrated, and there was a lot of discussion even in our countries, in Kenya, and I believe in other African countries about the same. And I remember telling one person that, to be very honest, if we were to tell ourselves the truth, nobody likes a poor person. Nobody likes a poor person. Even you and I don't enjoy the company of poor people in our neighborhoods. Whenever you see a poor person, we condemn them as thieves, we condemn them as pickpockets, we condemn them as people who are not up to anything good. And it is the same. I mean, it is the same wherever you go. So I believe Africa, for us to be able to get respect, for us to be able to earn a seat at the world table, for us to be able to be looked at with appreciation and with love, we need to be able to build our financial base. We need to be able to get out of this misery of poverty and be able to own our financial destiny so that we can be able to gain the respect that the world will have us gain. In fact, it was Tony Blair, just around the 2008, I think before he retired. Tony Blair one time spoke in a G8 summit, and he said that we must help Africa out of moral obligations. And he said that if we don't help Africa, Africa will continue to be the pain of the world because of their poverty. That is what he said in a G8 summit. And 2009, after the East African finance ministers had read their budgets, the High Commission of Britain in Kenya was on record, and it was captured by Nation newspaper as having said it is disturbing that a country 3 times the size of England, referring to Tanzania, read a budget which is equivalent to the amount of money that the British spend on DVDs. He said the budget that Tanzania read in 2009 was equivalent to the amount of food wasted in England, not eaten, but wasted in England. Now, people talk like this. Why? Because there is, when you're poor, you get to be demeaned, you get to be looked down upon, you get to be, I mean, nobody wants you around them. And I remember sometimes ago, I got one guy a British fellow, sorry to talk about Britain, a British guy to come and talk. He was running a training program for us, and we booked him at the Pan-African Hotel, and we discussed about many things. And then he made reference to the 2001 9/11 case in the US, the bombing of the Twin Towers. And he said that when 2 towers came down in the US and 3,000 Americans died, the whole world literally came to a standstill. the economies of the world were shaken. And then he made this very sad comment, and he's making it in my country, that if Africa as a continent was submerged in water, then the rest of the world will literally move without feeling it, except for the source of raw material of a few things. I mean, you can really see what people feel about us and what people think about us, and it has got something to do with poverty. When that happened, I took the trouble to just look around and see what is all this misery. And I was very disturbed to learn that actually Africa as a whole contributed about 3% of the world total economy. And just to help you understand what I'm talking about, I will just share a screen here of some of the statistics that I just pulled out. Number one is that the world wealth held by individuals in 2016 amounted to US dollars 192 trillion. This is not wealth per capita. We are talking about the world wealth, about 192 trillion US dollars. Now, the average individual net assets about 27,000 wealth per capita. This is not income per capita. This is wealth per capita. And there were about 13.6 million multimillionaires in the world with about US dollar 69 trillion, and about 522,000 high net worth individuals in the world in 2016. Now, if you come to Africa, then the average African individual had net assets of approximately US dollar 2,000, 7% of the world average. Remember, the world average was $27,000. The African average is about 2,000, which is 7% of the world average. And the total individual wealth held in the continent amounted to US dollar 2.2 trillion, which is 1.1%. So sometimes when people talk and when people look down on Africa and when people discuss things, of course it is painful, I agree. But you know, they say numbers, you can't go wrong with numbers, and numbers always tell the real truth. Now, if you look at 2.2 trillion out of a total of 192, we are looking at 1.1% contribution in terms of wealth by 2016. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a very small percentage. I know there is a lot we can talk about. I know there is a lot we are doing. I know there is a lot, unfortunately, and this is in line with what Dr. Wale was mentioning last time. It is unfortunately, our contribution to the world wealth table is so small that something needs to happen there. And I agree with Irene about the hummingbird, that the problem with many of us is that we think, and rightfully so, I agree by the way, that a miracle should happen somewhere. A miracle should be able to take place, and then Africa will be full, it will have gone up. We pray a lot, and we fast a lot, and we trust God a lot, and we are hoping that miracles will come. And then when we are not praying, we are hoping that our governments and our leaders will be able to come and help us in terms of what we need to look at and what we need to do. Now, out of the 13.6 multimillionaires, 145,000 of them only came from Africa, with a total of 800 billion US dollars. And out of the 522,000 very high net worth individuals, 7,010 live in Africa. Now, and this is part of what disturbs everyone and what should bother us. Yes, I know there is a place, and I like this conversation. I appreciate this conversation, and I think we need to get this conversation up and going on, you know, all over the place. Now, there is a place for leadership. I completely agree, because with better leadership, we can be able to do so much. There is a place for organizations to be able to do so much. I completely agree. And we need to be able to stretch ourselves at the organizational levels to be able to deliver much so that the wealth in the continent can be better than what it is today. Now, I completely also believe that an individual should be able to do his fair share, just like Irene's hummingbird story, should be able to do his fair share of contribution to what it takes to making wealth. And this can only happen if every one of us can become better in doing the things that we need to do. And sadly so that a lot of us, by the way, we are not doing the much that we should. I always tell people that if you want to know whether you are doing very well, that the easiest way would be to pick a calculator or actually pick up in your phone a calculator and just do a very basic formula that tells you whether you are doing your fair share. And this basic formula will be to, and you can do it now, as I tell you, you can actually remove your calculators and try it yourself, you who is already there. You will discover that if you multiply your monthly gross income, and you multiply that by 12 to make it annual, and then multiplied by your age as of today, then divided by 10, then the figure you get should be the minimum amount of assets that are generating cash flow at a personal level. Okay? Now, because if you are not generating cash flow at a personal level, and all that you are depending on is a salary that you are being paid, and then soon because of COVID, maybe there is no employment, soon because of another problem, maybe you lose your job, or soon because of some other reason, maybe the thing is not there, then you discover these are part of the combining factors that makes Africa to be very disadvantaged. If you look at that formula, I want to say it one more time so that if you are writing, you can write it down. I said you pick sorry about the noise. If you get, using a calculator, pick your monthly gross income, and then you multiply by 12 to make it annual. And then once you multiply by 12 to make it annual, you multiply by your age as of today, and then divide by 10. It gives you an indication of how much on the very minimum you need to be having in assets that generate cash flow as of today, the 9th day of July 2020. Now, you will discover very many of us are nowhere near that because we are just so happy that we have a paycheck. We are so happy that we have this money that we earn. We are so happy that we are doing and making the money that we are making. And this contributes to the misery that Africa has, because even at personal levels, we are not good stewards of the resources, of the finances that are entrusted to us through a salary or through a paycheck. And what you see in our leaders, you know, the leaders that we have today are a sample population of us. We don't like to hear this. Our leaders are a sample population of us, okay? The leaders that we have, the presidents of our countries, the ministers in our countries, the governors and the senators in our countries are a representative of who we are as a people. And therefore you can't throw so much stones because the only difference is that you are not there, but we behave the same. They are a sample population. So until at personal levels, we are able to become better financial stewards at personal levels, when we get positions of leadership, we will not be able to do what we were not able to do for ourselves. So these guys that we are condemning and arguing that they are not doing so much for us are just our representation. That is how we also will do unless we agree to change. So my supposition is that at very personal levels, we need to be able to change. At very personal levels, we need to be able to own our financial destinies. And owning our financial destinies means we need to become better financial stewards of every coin that God entrusts to us or God puts in our hands. We need to become better financial stewards. And if we become better financial stewards, what that would mean is that we will then task every shilling that every dollar, every franc, or every whatever currency that you have, every currency that goes through your hands, we will be able to task it to labor for you because you are managing it better. And tomorrow, when God permits you to get into a position of authority, position of leadership, then you'll be able to do the same because you've been doing it at a personal level. So I just want to show us in brief, I know time is moving pretty fast, some of the things that we can be able to do, because gentlemen and ladies, we need to do something, you know, we must do something at personal levels. Africa holds 30% of the world's known mineral reserves. In fact, even before I share what I wanted to share, allow me to just show you Al Jazeera put something on, developed something, Al Jazeera, the media company, and I just want to show you what they have. This is what Al Jazeera came up with. Let me move this away. Okay, so that you can be able to see the mineral reserves in Africa. A lot of petroleum, a lot of gold, a lot of uranium, a lot of diamond, a lot of copper, a lot of tobacco, a lot of aluminum, a lot of you know, tea, graphite. I mean, mention it. It is literally in this continent of Africa. Whatever it is, oil deposits in huge quantities is available in this country of Africa. But we are not able to harness the full potential because if it is 30% of the world mineral reserves found in Africa, then it means literally if we were able to do something, then so much would be able to happen and so much wealth will take place in this continent. But now it is not, because even at personal levels, we are not, because you can't give what you don't have. You cannot purport by any chance to do what you are not able to do to yourself. You cannot give what you don't have. You can't. You cannot do for a country what you can't do for yourself. Neither can you do for a continent what you cannot do even for your own family. It is not possible. So my supposition is that at very personal levels, we need to be able to change, and change we must, especially from a financial perspective. Now, and this is in line, by the way, for some of us who believe in the power of the scriptures, this is in line to the prayer that one guy by the name of Moses made in Psalms 90, when he said, help me to number my days right. And he was pleading to God that he needs to understand the calendar of his life. And because we always drop the ball, I just want to share with you the screen. Then you discover that at very personal levels, we need to be able to know how we should be able to do things at certain times. We have what we normally refer to as the 3 blocks of destiny. 3 blocks of destiny, or to the 23 years of fundamental financial choices. It begins in block number 4, it goes to block number 5, and it goes to block number 6. And then later, there is the 3 blocks of grace, which I can just put there, which also begins with block number 6, then block number 7, and block number 8, an additional 23 years, which means you have primary stage to get things right of 15 years between the age of 23 and 38, and then a secondary stage with which things needs to really be catapulted to great levels, another 15 years, and a transitional age of 7 years between the age of 39 and 46. That is the median age, okay? So in these 3 blocks of destiny, there are certain things that we must do as individuals. Remember, I am telling you this because if you don't do it at a personal level, it will be very hard to do it as a country. I have told you that the president of your country is a representation of you. He is a sample representation of the rest of us. So when you see them not doing certain things or doing certain things, it only means that is how we collectively behave as a people because they came from us. So they are a sample population. So block number 4, between the age of 23 and 30, this is where most of us drop the ball. Now, if you look at the world changers, you look at people like Zuckerberg, you look at people like Bill Gates, you look at people like Steve Jobs, you look at people like Suzuki or Toyota, you look at all these guys, they all started in block 4. Okay, some of them even started by the age of 18. Okay, but by the time they are getting to 21, 22, 23, then whatever they are putting their hands to do is something that will be able to change generations. Okay, so if we drop the ball in block 4, and if I could bring it back a little bit just to maybe the age of 20, 10 years between the age of 20 and 30, if we drop the ball here, and sadly, this is where Africa drops the ball. Because at this stage, we are incapable of taking charge of our lives and getting to know exactly what we were born to do. Like what Rick Warren says in his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, what on earth are you here for? We miss it at this point. But let me submit to us, ladies and gentlemen, that in this block number 4, we need to prepare adequately for wealth building, meaning we need to be able to know what it is that we want to be doing, and we need to be able to develop enough knowledge, build a knowledge base of investments and financial management and prudence in terms of how we grow our wealth, so that by the time we are getting to the block number 5, which is a family block, then we are able to plant several wealth trees. Now, we drop it in block number 4, we do much in block number 5 because we are busy baby making and growing our families. And then we get to block number 6 and we discover we don't have anything. Okay, and if God helped you, maybe you only have a house, or maybe you only own 1 or 2 things, but you have no assets. And what is critical is that by the end of block 6, which is the age of 44, 45, 46, you need to be earning more money from investments than you earn from salary. Now, this is a sad news. I'm saying, I repeat, by the end of block 6, by around the age of 45, 46, you need to be earning more money from investments than you earn from salary, even if you are employed. Okay? But because we never start in block number 4, we drop the ball in block number 5, we get to block number 6, and we are at the mercy of a paycheck. We are at the mercy of a salary. We are at the mercy of end month. Okay? And you are at the mercy of end month. And if by any chance somebody comes and says, look, we think you're tired and you need to leave, it becomes a source of frustration and a source of bitterness. So what am I trying to say in brief? I'm trying to tell us that unless and until we are able to do things at the very individual levels, and unless and until we are able to become better financial managers at individual levels, until and unless we are able to grow whatever we get in terms of resources, we will complain about this continent for a very long time. We will pray about this continent for a very long time. We will be condemned by other countries, and we will be looked down upon by other nations for a very long time. We will go to the streets to complain why people don't like us, why people don't love us, and we will keep complaining for a very long time because change does not come from outside. You know, a story is told of a guy who wanted to change the world, and he spent 10 years wanting to change the world, and nothing happens. And then he was getting a little bit old. Then he says now for the next 10 years, he wants to focus on changing the continent. And then for 10 years, he discovered he couldn't change the continent. Then he decided that now, because he's a lot older and tired, he will spend the next 10 years changing his country. Then he tried and it was not possible. Then he said, for the next 10 years now, I want to focus on my family. And then by that time, the children were old, all of them were gone. They never wanted to listen to his advice. And then that is when it came to his rude understanding that for you to change the world, for you to be able to change the continent, for you to be able to change your country, or even change your own family, you must begin by changing yourself. And I want to submit to us, friends, that unless we begin to be better financial stewards at very personal levels and seeking to grow our finances and making investments at personal levels, it will be very hard for our families. It will be very hard for our countries. It will be very hard for this great continent of Africa to be able to arise. And we will always still to be able to make it. And then something wrong will happen and we will not be able to sustain. So what am I trying to say in conclusion? That it is better generally, that we look at ways and means of you at a very personal level becoming a better financial manager, period. Then tomorrow when opportunities come to be given leadership, then you will be able to exercise that which has worked with you. But if at a personal level you are not, I guarantee you with precision, you will not be able to do anything as time goes by. So this forum of Africa change makers may be the miracle we need to be able to challenge everyone, every individual, and it doesn't matter the numbers, by the way. You who has had it, I think it is imperative that you become a disciple and you become a carrier of this great news by first of all changing and then now seeking others to be able to change, because if we don't, we continue to suffer and we will pray for a very long time and we will think that God doesn't answer our prayer when it is actually us who wanted to do that. Now, I finish, Irene, and deal with this. One fellow said that, and I'm saying this because, you know, I believe in God personally, and I also believe in the power of prayer. One person says, God doesn't give you what you want. We all want Africa to change. We all want Africa to become a better continent. We all want Africa to rise from poverty. This guy says, and I believe that God doesn't give you what you want. He gives you who you are. So you make it easier for God to answer your prayers, even about this continent, by changing who you are. Thank you so much. I want to wish everyone a very phenomenal financial journey, financial destiny. Let's change so that at the end of the day, this great Africa, our countries can be able to change. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, David, for that inciting presentation. I think you deserved several rounds of applause. And just to recap your closing remark, how do we change ourselves? Because if we don't change ourselves, we are not going to change Africa. The change begins with me and you. And you've given us a formula that I think from the feedback that I see on the charts is actually people are feeling that this is, when they do the maths, it is worrying. And maybe as you continue to chat with us, you may also indicate which country or which region you are from, and you can even post your name there, plus any other details, so that we begin to know who is who. And I think without having to go through again what David has presented, you've taken note of the 3 blocks of destiny. I think most of us, I'm looking at my age, and I don't even know how I missed the blocks. I think I might have missed all the 3 blocks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we want to create time, the next 20 minutes, for you to interact with David. So, and we are going to ask Maurice to be allowing participants to speak. So just raise your hand and then we can be able to know who wants to either make a comment or ask a question. Caroline Otieno, are you coming on?
I've just joined in now.
Oh, you just joined now. Okay. Let's hear any comments or questions. Caroline is still settling down. I think let's just allow participants. We have few, so we can just allow anybody with a comment, a question to David to just come on. We should be able to give space for all the participants, and we are going to give like a minute each, so that we are able to listen to everybody who wants to interact with David on this. Who wants to go?
There are two hands raised.
I can't see the hands from my screen. Can you, Maurice? Can you just allow the two to come up on in that order? Any of them can start. I can't see the hands from my end. Just speak.
Yeah, this is John Mark.
Okay, John Karebo.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite, Irene. It was awesome, and I've enjoyed the talk. I came in late, but I think it's a good challenge that you've given us, that actually we need to ask ourselves, for how long will we be waiting for? Even as we pray, we still need to do something, because even for people who pray, people like Elijah would pray, but they would still run away before the rains come. So for many of us in Africa, and I know Kenya, we do a lot of praying and hoping, but we're not taking any action. And as a result of that, a lot of people either blame the government, which is a very good punching bag, but the government, nobody got elected to make you rich. Everybody goes to parliament to make themselves rich and secure there. So I really appreciate what you're talking about. And yes, it's time we became the change we wanted to see and participated in that transformation.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, John, for your comment. Can we have maybe two more comments, and then if there's anything for David to reflect on, then we'll invite him back.
We have a
So the next person should just be...
We have a participant in Phoenix S4. In Phoenix X4, you've raised your hand. Carry on. Unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your insightful comments. Now, when you talked of those age brackets, I realized I'm beyond, way beyond that. I'm 60 years, and I might have missed the boat. How is there hope for me? Where do I start? The formula you gave for calculation of what kind of assets one should have, when I calculated my pension now, it saddened me so much. What do you advise for a senior citizen who never invested? Thank you.
Senior citizen who might have missed the 3 blocks.
Yes, my name is Jane. I'm 60 years old.
Karibu sana, Jane. Welcome, Jane. I think what we'll do is take another one. Maurice, if there's any...
Yeah, give me that advice, please.
David will respond to your question, Jane.
We have Daisy Nyaga. Daisy Nyaga.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tanki. That was amazing. It was awesome. I've learned a lot. So I realize I'm in block 5, and you say that we plant several wealth trees with cash flow. So kindly just give us a few examples of those. so that again we don't find ourselves going back to, you know, we might end up looking in the wrong places for this information. Then number two, I've done my formula and I've seen an asset of X amount. So please clarify, is this just the worth, the value of the asset, or what it needs to generate? Please clarify that. What you get after the formula, what should that be? Does land qualify when we are doing the evaluation? Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Daisy.
thank you very much.
We have Joe.
I think Maurice, what I suggest is that we take those three plus there's I think one on the charts. I'll read it loud for David, and then David can respond to the four, and we take another round. What can the people who didn't invest in the early blocks do? I think it's the same question like Jane, those who missed the boat. And then there's also a comment from John Mark, and then the last question from Daisy Nyaga. So David, maybe you can tackle those four, and then we can take another round.
Yeah, thanks. I want to appreciate John Mark for that contribution. I completely agree with him. In terms of the lady who is 60 years, I want to let you know that you are in the 3 blocks of grace. The 3 blocks of grace begins with block number 6 and it ends in block number 8, which is where you are, because age 60 is in block number 8. And just for your information, there is also block 9, there is block 10, there is block 11. So you are still young at 60. Out of research, the world changers, most of them, there are very few who do it in block 4, but most of them do it in your age, between the age of 55 and 70. If you look at the American presidents, if you look at great people who do great things, they all do between the age of 55 and 70. So when you are between 55 and 70, it is a prime time. It's a prime age. That is the time you can be able to do so much for yourself and even for your country, for your life, for your family. You can be able to do so much. Don't think you are old because you are 60. You are still, I mean, if you look at Donald Trump, he's now 78 or 77, and he's leading a more complex institution called the United States of America. And yourself, you are not leading even Kenya. So if a 78-year-old can be able to do it for a more complex institution, how much more you at your time? So there is a lot you can be able to do. Whatever you have in terms of resources, if you can be prudent in managing it, if you can be thorough in managing it, then that will be able to help you. Now to Daisy, now block number 5 is a great block to do so much. I said you plant many wealth trees because, you know, in block number 4, you are sampling up. Your money is not a lot, but you need to be able to learn which instruments work. When you get to block number 5, you ideally need to be smart, and therefore you are making paper investments. You are investing in treasury bills. You are investing in bonds. You are investing in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. You are doing the derivatives, which was introduced last year, and you possibly are also into maybe some little bit of real estate, depending on your cash flow. And ideally, you need to be able to do a lot. By the way, I have a weekly circulation that I can be able to send you. Your email at money@lanexafrica.co.ke, sorry, but I'll be able to post it there. So the wealth trees that you need to do are many, because when you get to block 6, you need to be able to know which ones generate stable returns, and those ones that generate stable returns, you focus on them. Africans are used to touching here, touching there, touch and go. You touch this, you leave it halfway. Touch the other, leave it halfway. Touch the third one, you leave it halfway. I think it is imperative that you concentrate when you get to block 6 on the things that make sense and has stable returns for you and for your family. For Sang, now the question has disappeared. Madam Sang had asked has disappeared. But I just want to let you know that you can always catch up with the blocks. If you miss one block, don't push yourself too much. You can be able to catch up with the blocks next time. So what you miss in block 4, don't write yourself off. Go to block 5. You need to do a lot to be able to catch up with what you missed and also be able to do what is there to be done in the next available block. And then when you go to block number 6, the same thing. Even for our sister who is in block number 8 at age, you can also be able to catch up with the blocks and it shall do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. I think you've responded well to the 3 questions. So what we can do, Maurice, is to take another round of 3 or 4, and then invite David, or we may make another last round after that. So Maurice, you can bring in any participants with a question.
We had John Simeon who had raised a hand. John?
Thanks, David, and all the panelists. This is John Simeon from Ongato Rongai. Although he has actually answered a part of the question because he has given us the cash flow trees that we need to invest in. I think one of the things I've struggled in the recent past, especially being in block 3, age 30 to 40, is business, trying to actually start business, but then they don't work. So I've decided to go more on the unit trust and money market funds rather than business, because most of them have failed. So I don't know, from your perspective, should we, or what do you encourage someone to do? To go directly to stocks, or to just go conservatively on the bonds and the treasury bills and bonds, as well as the money market fund, which are relatively low risk and also, of course, low return, or go to a highly risk ventures that will give you high return, so that probably from that, the few years that we have in this block, we can be able to catch up for those who miss past block 2 of between ages 20 to 30.
I think we can take that question, and you?
Yeah, we can take two others, 2 more.
Mommy, you already, Mommy?
Any other question, participants?
Yes.
If you may allow me, I know Jerry is with us and she was joining another meeting. If we can just give her a minute to just give her remarks, because she's one of our faculty, so that people can understand, because she's dealing with purpose-driven life. People can understand why we're really driving this agenda, that it's the individual. Jerry, if you're still on, please go ahead.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a few comments because I have to join another meeting at 8. David, I'm very happy with your presentation. First of all, I'm happy that everything went well today. And I'm also happy with the questions, because I can see where people are. I can understand where people are, and I've sent a comment that most likely I'll also be one of your students in the financial sustainability. What I wanted to say is that there is an interrelationship between the modules that we are, the 3 courses that we are presenting. As we said earlier, I'm presenting a course on purpose-driven yourself. So it might be very difficult for you to learn how to invest. You haven't found yourself. So there is an interrelationship, and we need to maintain that interrelationship, because my fellow colleague there who's speaking, that she thinks she's an age that is over. It is never. Give a quick comment there that the guy who started KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken that everybody loves to enjoy, never mind that it's junk food, he started that at 65. And today it's the biggest second chain food next to McDonald's. So you know, he started at 65 after trying many things and failing. But finally his time came. And by the time he was dying off, he had sold it for millions, and he died a very, very wealthy man. So I just want to say it's never too late, but you need to find yourself so that you are able to invest better, so that you own your wealth. And I welcome you guys to whatever Irene is going to say to you tomorrow, and in future, we can work together to build this continent to what it's supposed to be. Thank you very much. I'm signing off now, Irene.
Okay, thank you very much, Njeri.
Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. We look forward to interacting with you more. And as you say, I think you can reach out to David after the forum so that you can get more.
Yes, I will also. All right, bye-bye.
Bye. So David, you can answer the question that came before Njeri stepped in, and then we can take another round.
Yes, John Simiu's concern is having tried business, you know, business is like farming. They say the owner's eye fattens the crops. And if you do telephone farming, then certainly you may be able to lose a lot of money in the process. Now, and that is the same case for business. If you do business and you don't have time for the business, 100%, it is a sure way of losing your valuable money. But if you're there, it doesn't mean the business can go under, but you minimize the risk and you increase the survivability of that business. Now, but you also mentioned that, so what do you do? Do you go to the stable options? I think depending on your risk appetite, you can now be able to look and see where you can be able to put your money. And yes, you know, the unfortunate part is that the money market, sorry, the money market is I don't know, I think somebody's put off.
There's some echo.
Yes, there must be
Maybe we
some.
can try to mute our mics.
Yeah, so the money market becomes a challenge because it is very stable, but it is not powerful to generate wealth. We are looking at returns of 8%, we are looking at returns of 9%. At most, once in a while, you discover that the bonds, for example, go for 11%, and rarely does it ever go beyond 12, although there is a bond in the market right now, which was for 30 years, which went for 14%. But once, if you look keenly, you can actually get, maybe one which is 12, 13, 14, 15 maximum. Now, and if you go to the stocks, then you increase the chances of failure because a lot of people are emotional investors. They invest because they hear people saying they are making money in the stock market and all that. I told people, you know, KQ now has been suspended in the stock exchange, but I told people in April, anybody who wants some quick money over a period of 1 month, please buy Kenya Airways. And that time Kenya Airways was 0 shilling and 80 cents. Now, I did a lot of seminars, I did a lot of Zoom training in April, and I told guys, you want quick money, 1 month. And surprisingly, that share of Kenya Airways in 1 month increased by 256%, 256% in 1 month. And I told guys, you can be able to do this. And of course, like most people, they don't do it, or they don't understand, or they don't know what to do. And what I basically do every week, I analyze and I tell guys, these are the options you can go for if you must go to the Nairobi Securities Exchange. These are the options to consider. Now, because you can either be a short-term investor, you want to be a trader, you want to buy to sell, make your money through capital gains, or you are a long-term investor, you want to buy and make money through dividend yields, all that we keep analyzing it on a weekly basis. And actually I release a circular containing that information, and I do it for free because we want to get as many people to come out of financial misery as possible. So to my brother John, yes, you can be able to do a lot. I've seen your email address. We'll put you in the mailing list so that you can be getting that weekly shot that can give you direction in terms of where to go and which options to go for in terms of investment.
Thank you, David. I have a question. I think majority of us, at a younger age, we have this challenge of you're basically you're getting a paycheck and then the bills take it all up. How do we move from, living from paycheck to paycheck, as much as you want to cut your coat according to your size, to start also the wealth building process and become an investor so that we can balance out the equation that you gave us?
Thanks, my brother. What happens is that before you got a job, you were living and your life was still running. I mean, you were not dead because you had no job. But the minute you got a job, you were earning 20,000 and you lived, okay? You never ate buttered bread, you ate plain bread, and it was okay. But the minute the salary was increased to 30,000, then now you create reasons that plain bread, which is not buttered, doesn't taste good. But all these years, it has been tasting good, okay? And then the salary is increased, it is now 35. Now you begin condemning buttered bread and you're saying, the taste of butter is not so nice to me. I prefer marmalade or I prefer peanut butter and all those kind of stuff. So what happens? Expenditure will increase as your income increase from 0.0 unless you protest, okay? Unless you protest. So what is critical at block number 4 is to develop the skills to protest from growing your expenses as your income grows, right? And if you learn that skill early, then you will not have the problem when you get to block 5, when you get to block 6, because nobody has ever died for not eating chicken, okay? And nobody has ever died because of eating vegetables 7 days a week. I bet you if you ate vegetables 7 days a week, you will have spent less than somebody who ate chicken even 3 times or even 1 time a week. So the conclusion is that for the young people who are here, learn to arrest your expenses, that they shouldn't grow as your income grows. Live the same way and continue the same way, and make small investments, because when you start making investments now, in due time, the investments will begin generating income and you will live by that income. Thank you.
David, maybe we check Maurice, if there are anybody with a question or not. We wind up by asking David to maybe give his parting shot, and then Irene will come in to conclude. So do we have any question coming up, Maurice?
No.
Anybody?
Comments,
participant, we have a final chance, the final minute to ask anything you want to ask David before you wind up. We take no hearing, and David will be able to respond to you the further materials he had promised. Do we have any final comments or any last question? Okay, I think it seems we don't have. So David, if you have any final remarks, like a parting shot, and then Irene will come in to conclude.
Thank you so much. I just want to give my parting shot that wealth whichever way you look at it, actually grows like a tree. Wealth grows like a tree. The sooner you plant your wealth tree, and the more wealth trees you plant, you are better, and the sooner you will be able to sit under those trees and enjoy their fruits, or at most enjoy their shade. So begin now. Don't say you are late. It is never too late. They say the best time for planting these trees was 20 years ago, but the next best time is today. Okay, so you are in the next best opportunity to plant your wealth tree. Don't lose this opportunity. Otherwise, I want to wish everyone a very blessed, prosperous life, a life that will be able to impact our families, our countries, and Africa at large. Asante sana.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Irene, maybe your parting shot and concluding remarks as you close or wind up the forum.
Wow, thank you so much, DM Tanki. We really learned a lot, participants. I'm sure you found this worth it for us being here and just listening to DM Tanki himself. I hope it was not disappointing. You can tell us if you really enjoyed. I can see from your comments, Moto Williams, you're on board. Very healthy discussion. I hope I can get recording as well. Yes, we're going to give you recordings of this. We're going to give you the presentation that happened. But one of the things that you should know about this African Changemakers program, we have been told the role of the individual. We believe so much so that it's time. One of the speakers, John Mark, said that we have the blame game on government because they are a very cozy punching bag for us. We have done that for too long and there's no change. We're just being taken around in circles. So the African Change Makers program is inviting you who want to change Africa, is inviting you person who say enough is enough, let us develop this Africa. Is for that person who feels that, you know what, let us just change this continent so that we can be a developed continent. We are not going to be a third world continent ever again. So there are 3 pillars that we're going to have in this program. If you think that you fall in those category of the people I've said, you're feeling that enough is enough, something must change. You're feeling that I can do something in my space, like I'm doing my space in sports. I can do something in my space. You're feeling like it's time for Africa to be developed. It's time for you to leave a legacy to be remembered in. Then this is for you. So the 3 pillars will be, we have this, what we call the SOCO Hub, the dialogue forum where we're discussing and sharing ideas. Like today, we have learned a lot to do with the what was he talking about? The block.
Owning a financial destiny.
To do with the blocks, and we are learning a lot. So we will be learning a lot through the forums. The other second part of it will be the online trainings. You can see we have a faculty of very experienced trainers. You've just had, for those of you who are here for the first time, you've just had David Tanki. You missed Njerica Berberi in the last webinar, but we shared that on email. You also missed Akinyemi, and we also have Andiwo Abondo. These people are going to take you through something new, something to be ready for the new Africa after the COVID season. And the third pillar is for you to develop your legacy project. Andiwo is an expert in M&E and strategy, and therefore we're going to put them together to help you do a legacy project so that you can succeed. Because if you succeed, the entire Africa succeeds. So we know that with projects and enterprises, because maybe you don't have finances, and that's why we're going to put a team together that you can pitch your ideas and get the resources that you need. So if you really know that this is for you, then don't even waste any more time. You hit our email address, then we're going to give you more information on how we're going about it. But remember, This is for those people who are saying enough is enough. I want to be a champion of change. I want to be remembered. What will be my legacy? I want to be remembered. And we have been told you're never too old. You can start even now. Thank you. And God bless you all for coming. And I'm wishing you all the best. Share this gospel. I'm so passionate about it because Africa must change. Share it with your friends as well. And you are back to you.
Thank you very much, Irene. I think that should be able to mark the end of our day today. But as we had promised, I'm just going to remind you of what we did last time. That if on the first webinar we held on 15th of June, here we had Dr. Wale Akinyemi talking about thinking in the new thinking in the new system. And he raised a number of exciting issues, just like David has done today. We also had Njeri Beberi on the purpose-driven champions. And I think, as Irina said, the notes or the recordings from that were shared on email. If you are not in that first webinar, you may let us know so that we can also share with you the notes from that. Irene also had very exciting remarks or notes on being a change maker. So we want to encourage you to walk this path along with us. We will let you know when the next forum is happening and also when we could be able to start discussions on the legacy initiatives or the innovations that Irene talked about. Otherwise, thank you very much, and we look forward to further and future interactions.